We're all energy, and just because people pass from one world to another, whether they're purged from the spirit world into the physical world or vice versa, that energy still exists. Some people don't believe it, and that's okay.
They'll find out sooner or later when it's their turn.
To have these orbs around you, I know when I see the photographs of them, I feel so warm inside and
You
so
said the key word, you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want everybody to look at your photographs, and usually digital photographs, or even, the old-fashioned.
Although, I took a picture of a gal pal of mine once in my apartment. She passed, and I knew she was going to pass when I had the picture developed because there was like a stream of light cutting right through her.
Okay.
And I said, okay.
Time to go.
And she did.
Time to say goodnight. But anyway, she's in a better place. But orbs, okay, let's go backtrack a little bit. When people see things in photographs, the skeptics, and they'll never go, and that's fine. We need grounding people. We need people to say, okay, is it dust? Is it snow? Is it sand? Or is it bugs? Is it water droplets? And those things have distinct features in photographs.
And you can tell.
Yes.
Immediately.
Absolutely. That's a bug, or that's a water droplet.
Have a physical presence.
Exactly. But the orbs have a very distinct circular, spherical shape to them, and every shape differs in color and features within it. Sometimes you see faces or colors or rainbows, and it's interesting because in the paranormal world, in the metaphysical world, they say that the easiest way to travel non-corporeally is through a sphere.
Yes.
And if you know anything about physics or sacred geometry, there are 5 sacred shapes called sacred geometry.
Back up. What did you say? Sacred geometry?
Yes.
I had to take the regular geometry 3 times now.
Me too, man. I failed.
What is the sacred geometry?
The sacred I passed. I'm sacred. No, the sacred geometry are the basic 5 shapes called platonic solids.
Say that. I'm sorry. Platonic
solids.
Platonic solids.
Like solid versus liquid versus gas.
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
So the platonic solids, 5 of them, are the most basic shapes that exist in the universe in general, that we know of.
Can you give us an example of a platonic solid?
Yes, the cube.
The cube.
Yeah, the cube, and has multiple,
And why is it platonic as opposed to adversive?
It's multidimensional. It goes into, and it's like features are very, like numerically speaking, very even. Wow. And everything forms out of that. As is above, so is below. And it's very like fractal geometry, if you look at that. It's very symmetrical.
Yes.
And then the sphere is the 5th shape, is the perfect shape.
No beginning, no end.
Infinity. Omega and alpha.
Perfect love.
Alpha and omega.
Alpha and omega, yeah.
And it's the perfect shape, 360 degrees. And so for some strange reason, the theory is, I haven't been to the other side. I have not. But I think I came from the other side, but I don't remember it. I have amnesia. But what happens is when energies need to travel, like sentient enemies, oh my God, I'm thinking about my ex-boyfriend.
No, scratch that.
Entities, they go through a sphere because it's the fastest way to travel to speed and time, apparently speaking. So the spheres are like...
Because of the lack of friction?
Yes. The circular shape, the way it's... Yeah, absolutely.
Hence the flying saucer.
Absolutely. Yeah, well...
Well, the practical means it is the best it's the best efficient shape for flight because it has no hard edge and no edge gives resistance.
Exactly. Now the government is using the technology, right, with the stealth planes that are very geometrical, very sharp.
Very much so.
But they're not
the angles of the materials are as important for stealth as the materials themselves.
Absolutely.
The angles that they designed that because they deflect in a certain way and it doesn't allow an efficient return to the radar receptor.
No, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct.
I know nothing about
I
this.
still think they haven't gotten the sphere thing yet, well. And they got this technology from the Nazis.
No, but you're talking about this in another dimension.
Yes, and here too.
I'm mentioning stealth flight in
military.
Right, in a practical
and so am I.
But you're referring to something that that is beyond this dimension.
Yeah, so apparently what they're using in this dimension is the stealth, the geometrical stuff. And again, we don't know.
We're behind.
Yeah, we're behind. So I don't think they know how the sphere works yet and how it's much more efficient than the stealth technology that we have that most people don't know about. Very few people know about that.
Now, physicists come the closest to what this creation is about.
Agreed.
As far as we can understand.
You know, since I was a little girl, I always felt that science was an explanation to spirituality and vice versa.
Right.
And when you really go back in history and really delve into aspects of it that aren't brought, to the mainstream, you'll find that there are a lot of people that do believe that we came from outer space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe we should both come on the show when Paul West is here next week.
Okay.
Paul West is really into all of that. But I think you're right. And the reason I say about physics is that most organized, and please don't send me an email. Most organized religion is frightened by science. But if science finds truth, shouldn't God and truth be the same?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The reason they do,
Absolutely.
and I'm going to say this very point blank, most of the people who started these formalized religions did it purposely to cut the masses off from the power of and the ability of connecting to God, being a
Directly.
part of God. Yes, and what we ourselves can manifest with God within us.
Right, there should never be an intermediary between a human being and God. There shouldn't be anyone in
The
between.
words out of my mouth, and it's your show, so I got back to
It's all- it's
And
okay.
it's true. And then
I don't want any.
I can rewind this and then you can say it instead of me.
and then now the funny part is that isn't it interesting how there's always money and politics involved?
It's all based on it.
What a coincidence.
It's all based
And
on it.
power.
Yeah, and power over people.
Yes.
I've always felt that way. And again,
So the government and religion is going to look
I'm
after
a
us,
sinner
right?
and I'm guilty of being a sinner, so I'm not saying this to cover me, but I think it's awful that you have an 11-year-old boy or girl has to go to confession when they first begin to explore their body and they're made to feel guilty and cheap. Because it's human beings, boy or girl, 10, 11, 12, are going to all of a sudden say, hey, wow, about all these things that are normal, and they're going to be made to feel. Now, I don't know if that's still being done to children. It was done to me, but that's a long
I think it
time.
is. I think it is.
They still make children feel bad about themselves.
Very much so.
Let's just pretend a young girl touches herself and now she's some horrible.
Yes, you're bad.
That's something
Very, very
wrong.
bad girl.
That's really bad. It's terrible to do that to a
perfectly
young
natural.
person. Of course.
And I'm so happy to grow up in the generation that I grew up in that had books that actually explained sexuality, women's sexuality, and you're
And men's
alive.
sexuality.
You're part of nature. This is who we are. Yes, we have to be responsible, but hey, that's a whole other story. Are we in every aspect? No.
Well, I'm
thinking one thing too. I'm thinking if we had the technology, which we do, to kind of get rid of all the old, the power players, children are they're very creative. They're very smart.
Well, Diana, astrologically, and I know there are many astrologers out there who can confirm this, with all the great changes that are going on now, yes, 2012, we lived through, we're supposed to live through it because the change is a change of enlightenment.
Absolutely.
And all of these old structures, it's going to take time, but they're all going to come crumbling down.
Thank goodness.
And anyone that's resisting is going to have the hardest time.
I'm a little more basic than that. I think the guys who made these rules, they weren't scoring. I don't think these guys were scoring every night, and then they said, let's make a rule that you can't score. There must have been guys who
And
can't
all the
score.
women who weren't scoring said, oh, I'm going to go along with them because I can't get them in and save my life.
You're right.
And you can go to my other website, Let's Wipe Out Celibacy, AC Lowe. It's at www.nocelibacy.today.
Wow, I see you with different eyes, right?
I see by the shadow on the floor that we always run out of time on the AC Lowe Show. This is the Bill Russo Show, being hosted by AC Lowe, Diane Navarro, and Maria Georgio.
And what the best topic we ever had.
And we went from the extreme of a woman who wrote a book about smells in New York all the way to knocking out the church. And before you know, who's the people who score and who's the people who don't.
And we're going to have a seance to top everything else.
We're the scoring team. We score. Hey, thank you very much. Don't forget to tune in next week. This is AC there for Bill Russo saying bye-bye.
What a wonderful show.